Hey friends, what is good? Derek here from Bomb Socks with more Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ, and as always, we do it one bite at a time. So this week we get the opportunity of getting into sections 27 and 28 of the Doctrine and Covenants, and we've got some wonderful videos from our Bomb Bites video collection to help you enjoy this week, to help you use them in lessons, whatever you want to use them for, enjoy them. And of course, if you haven't already, go check out our amazingly comfortable gospel-themed socks at bombsocks.com. Godspeed, my friends, and enjoy the video. So today I want to show you, just look at this thing right here. How many of you out there have a magic 8-ball? Such a wonderful revelatory tool, isn't it? If you have a question, you can just shake this thing and see what kind of answers you get, Either my sources say no or reply hazy, try again, you get all those things right there. Now, it seems kind of silly to use this to be able to receive inspiration, but I think I have found the church history equivalent of this, and it's surrounding section 28. So let me take you to Saints, and it's Saints is in chapter 9. It's called Come Life or Come Death, and there's a certain part here that shows you the context of what is going on for section 28 of the Doctrine and Covenants. It says, later that summer, now again, this is in 1830, Joseph and Emma paid off their farm, this was in Harmony, with the help of friends, and then they moved to Fayette, so Joseph could devote more time to the church. They're staying with the Whitmers. After they arrived, however, they learned that Hiram Page, one of the 8 witnesses and teacher in the Aaronic priesthood, had started to seek revelations for the church through what he thought was a seer stone. And again, Joseph had used a seer stone before, and so Hiram, I think, had found this one, decided to use a different one as well. Many saints, including Oliver, and some members of the Whitmer family believed that these revelations were from God. Keeping in mind, this is still a very young church. This church is only months old, so they're still trying to learn the ins and outs of this. Joseph knew he was facing a crisis. Hiram's revelations mimicked the language of Scripture. They spoke about the establishment of Zion and the organization of the church, but at times they contradicted the New Testament and truths the Lord had revealed through Joseph. Unsure of what to do, Joseph stayed up praying one night, pleading for guidance. He had experienced opposition before, but not from his friends. If he acted too forcefully against Hiram's revelations, he could offend those who believed in them or discourage faithful saints from seeking revelation on their own. But if he did not condemn the false revelations, they could undermine the authority of the Lord's word and divide the saints. So after many sleepless hours, Joseph received a revelation directed to Oliver. No one, and this is verse 2 of section 28, no one shall be appointed to receive commandments and revelations in this church, excepting my servant Joseph Smith, the Lord declared. For all things must be done in order and by common consent in the church, which we talked about common consent last week. The Lord directed Oliver to teach this principle to Hiram. The revelation then called Oliver to go nearly 1,000 miles to the western edge of the United States to preach the restored gospel to the American Indians, which we'll talk about that more next week, who were remnants of the house of Israel. The Lord said that the city of Zion would be built near these people, echoing the Book of Mormon's promise that God would establish the New Jerusalem on the American continent prior to the second coming of Christ. He did not identify the city's exact location, but he promised to reveal that information at a later time. A few days later, at a conference of the church, the saints renounced Hiram's revelations and unanimously sustained Joseph as the only one who could receive revelation for the church. So again, that shows you in church history, some of these early days, that they're still trying to figure out a lot of this. And here Joseph was looking at, here's Hiram Page, who's a good man. Hiram was just a good man, I think, acting with the amount of light and knowledge that he had, doing what he thought was right. And this section corrects that, and it shows you that only the prophet of the church can receive revelation for the entire church. So this, like I said, is kind of the equivalent of the 8-ball, where Hiram Page is asking questions and getting revelations there, and that's just not the way it works. There's a great quote here from Joseph Smith where he said, "Nothing is a greater injury to the children of men than to be under the influence of a false spirit when they think they have the Spirit of God." And sadly, there's instances of that in history where you have these individuals who believe they are acting with the knowledge of God, and yet they aren't. And so that's where it gets difficult. So one of the things it suggests here is in the Come Follow Me. Let me share with you what it says in the Come Follow Me for the week. It says, the living prophet is God's mouthpiece for his church. Imagine what it would be like if anyone could receive commandments and revelation for the entire church. When Hiram Page claimed to have received such revelation, there was confusion among the church members, which we just talked about. In Doctrine and Covenants 28, the Lord revealed an order for revelation in his church. What do you learn from this section about the specific role of the president of the church? What do you learn from the Lord's words to Oliver Cowdery in verse 3? And what do you learn from this section about how God can direct you? So what I'd like you to do is just take a couple of minutes and you can talk about that as a family. Those three questions. Again, what do you learn from this section about the specific role of the president of the church? What do you learn from the Lord's words to Oliver in verse 3? And what do you learn from this section about how God can direct you? So take a couple minutes and talk about it, and we'll come right back. Okay, so one of the things it suggests in this particular portion of the Come Follow Me, it gives a conference talk from Dallin H. Oaks. It is called The Two Lines of Communication. And let me just share with you, he actually talks about, he says there's two lines. He says there's the personal line, then he says there's the priesthood line. And you got to be careful because you need both of them. If you rely solely on one, or the other, you can go off balance. So here's, Elder Oaks goes into both of those and he does a very good job. This is kind of a conclusion to what he said. He said, we must use both the personal line and the priesthood line in proper balance to achieve the growth that is the purpose of this mortal life. If personal religious practice relies too much on the personal line, individualism erases the importance of divine authority. You start becoming so smart that you do not need anybody else. However, if personal religious practice relies too much on the priesthood line, individual growth suffers, and you become one of those individuals who cannot make decisions on their own. They've got to wait. They need that inspiration and revelation. And the Lord, he wants us to be self-sufficient, and he wants us to be him sufficient as well. I don't know if that's a word or not, but he wants us to be able to rely on ourselves and on him. So just finishing, he says, the children of God need both lines to achieve their eternal destiny. The restored gospel teaches both, and the restored church provides both. And so that's one of those things where as we are getting our own revelation, we've got to be able to trust in our own abilities, but also look and see how they play into the greater things with regards to the doctrine of the church and the practices, which is exactly what they were dealing with Hiram Page. He was probably going more to his side, but neglecting some of the other side. And this is just it's a great chapter to balance us out. So I'm grateful for that. One other thing I want to share with you, and this is for tomorrow's episode, a little teaser for you. Satan does not want you to be balanced there. He wants to. He doesn't care what side of the fence you fall off on, as long as you just fall. And we will talk about tomorrow one of those defenses that will help you to be able to achieve that good balance. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and thanks for sharing these messages. We appreciate that so much. If you like what you see, please click the like button. And like I said, check out our socks, bombsocks.com. Godspeed, friends. Have a great day. See ya. Bye-bye.